Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this really pretty decorative pillow. You just need two different fabrics to get this look. It's a slip cover, so as long as you're using washable fabrics, when it gets dirty you can take it off and wash it. All you need is a little pillow form to insert on the inside and you're good to go. So let's get started. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need out of fabric A just 1/4 yard, fabric B 1 yard, and one 16-inch pillow form. If you go to Walmart, they have them there. They're very inexpensive. Cut your fabric in the following sizes. Out of fabric A, cut 2 8.5-inch squares. Out of fabric B, 2 8.5-inch squares, and 2 11.5 inches by 16.5-inch pieces. If you do not have a rotary cutter or a large square acrylic ruler, then fold the front sides of your fabric together. Use whatever ruler you have and draw lines to make an 8.5-inch square. Then you would pin your fabric layers together. Place some pins around all 4 edges so that it doesn't shift. After pinning around all 4 edges, then use scissors to cut out your fabric. If you have a rotary cutter and a square ruler, then you can still leave your front sides of your fabric folded together. That I'm going to show you in case your fabric is already front sides together, because it doesn't really matter with the rotary cutter. So fold your fabric and you're going to cut out your squares at the same time. So here's my square ruler. I've highlighted the 8.5-inch lines here and here with these little sticky note papers right here. So it's right there on that line. And I know that that's where I need to keep excess fabric outside of all those lines. So go ahead and cut 2 sides right now and cut across this side. Now take this corner over here and bring it over here. And place the 8.5-inch lines on your 2 previously cut edges. Alrighty? And take your time lining it up. And then go ahead and cut. This is fabric B. Again, I'm going to leave the fabric folded in half. And out of this, I'm going to cut 2 8.5-inch squares. And I'm going to use, so if you know how to do it, if you don't have a rotary cutter and square ruler. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my 2 sides first. And then you're going to turn it just like you did on the other fabric as soon as I get this separated. There we go. Turn it. Put your 8.5 inches on the 2 previously cut lines. Make sure it's nice and straight before you cut. And then cut your last 2 sides. Out of the remaining fabric B, cut out your 11.5 by 16.5 fabric. So my edges are just a little crooked over here, so I'm going to line them up. So place your ruler on a line, okay, and go ahead and cut. Remember, if you don't have the rotary cutter, you can still draw lines on the back side of the fabric. Now I'm going to go over 16.5 inches. Remember, always take your time lining up your fabric, or your ruler, I should say. I have turned the fabric piece. Now my selvage edges are over here. And I've placed this raw edge that I've just cut is up on a line going straight across my cutting mat. And I've pulled my selvage edges past one of the lines on my mat because I want to trim it off. Okay, so I'm going to place my ruler on that line and cut. Now go over 11.5 inches and cut. So this is the fabric for the back. Take your pieces and lay them out like this. Bring front sides together and line up the edges on both sections. And you're going to pin them together on this side here. So place pins to hold. Remember to do it on both of them. After you've got it all pinned, then stitch 1/4 inch from this edge, come in 1/4 of an inch and stitch along here and here. If you're not sure where 1/4 inch is on your machine, use a seam gauge or a ruler and place it on the edge of your fabric and see where 1/4 inch lands. Now I have a 1/4 inch setting on my machine, and it'll move my needle over to that 1/4 inch point. So I don't need to guess and have to measure where it is. It already knows. You can also place tape along here to use as a guideline. Always do back stitches at the beginning and end of every seam. And just guide your fabric through there. Don't look at the needle, look at your guideline. And then remember to do your back stitches at the end of the seam. And then you're done. This next step at your ironing board, it's always important to press your seams whenever you can, because it's going to make everything come out much nicer in the end. If you do not have a steam iron, you can use a spray bottle and spray those seams a little bit. Then with your iron, press that seam on the back side. Now when you're doing this, you want to make sure your darkest fabric is on top. So after pressing on the back side, now unfold both pieces, and you want to keep the seam going that way. So now, if you need to spray it again a little bit, if you don't have a steam iron, push against that seam easily. Don't stretch your fabric, because you want to get those seams going in the same direction. Turn one to go opposite of the other one. So now you can see how your 4 patch is going to go. Bring front sides together, lay them on top, and you're going to pin that seam really close together. Make sure the seam on the bottom is going in the opposite direction than the seam on top. And line them up, and when you press down on it, it should feel very flat in there. I recommend that you pin your seam so it does not shift while stitching. And also, if you're not used to sewing, I recommend you pin your edges together. And always remember, when you are stitching at your machine, remove the pins before you stitch over them. And then after you've finished pinning your edges, then stitch 1/4 of an inch seam right along here. Leave it folded like this, and then at your ironing board, press this seam again. And then unfold and press on top. And you're pushing this seam all the way across here, all in one direction. This is the fabric for the back. Have the front side of the fabric down against your ironing board. This is the 16.5 inch edge, and this is the 11.5 inch edge. Fold the 16.5 edge over 1/4 of an inch and press. And 1/4 of an inch, as you know, is not very big. Don't worry if you're not exact. Okay. Then fold it over again 1/4 of an inch and press. Whoops. There we go. Now do that on both of your pieces for the back. At your sewing machine, you're going to stitch right on this edge right here all the way down to the end. When done stitching, with your iron, press these seams flat. Have the front piece facing up. The front side of the fabric is up. Take your pieces for the back, and here is where we folded over the edge and stitched it down. You want that in the center section of your pillow. Align this piece up with this edge here, here, and here. Then place pins to hold it. After pinning this side, then take your second piece, overlap it, line it up on the edges here, here, and here, and go ahead and finish pinning all the way around. Stitch 1/4 inch seam around all 4 sides and back stitch here and here. As you are stitching and you're approaching a corner, when you get 1/4 inch away from this edge, then leave your needle in the down position. Lift up your presser foot. My presser foot automatically comes up when I stop stitching. Turn your fabric, lower your presser foot, and continue stitching. Do that at all 4 corners. After stitching, you want to cut some of this fabric off at each corner, leaving about 1/8 of an inch of fabric. Don't cut into your stitches or cut too close to the stitches because it might come apart. I'm using a rotary cutter, or you can use scissors. If you're using a rotary cutter, make sure you keep your fingers away at a safe distance. So go ahead and cut. Then do this at all 4 corners. Reach inside the opening and grab one of your corners and pull it front side out. After you've gotten it turned front side out, then poke at your corners. Now you might need a chopstick or something a little pointed to help you get those corners out. Lift up the opening in the back and insert the pillow. And you're going to have to kind of squish it together a little bit to get it inside. Then turn it around and lift up the other side and begin pushing it in to the pillow. When you're done stuffing it in, straighten out the back, line it up, and there you have your 4-patch pillow. For more pillow projects, play this video all the way to the end until you see a green screen and then click on the links. If you like this video, would you please click on that old thumbs up button, and don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click on that red subscribe button down there in that lower right-hand corner of your screen. Make sure you click on that little bell and enter your email address so you'll receive email notifications about my latest video. If for some reason you're not receiving those email notifications, go to your cell phone or iPad, click on Settings, and turn Notifications in the on position. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny. So glad you came to my sewing room. See you next time, and happy sewing!